I want to say one other thing about the half halt, because this is also a very common confusion that people have. There is no halt in a half halt. That's a misnomer. I want you to think about calling the half halt a half go instead of a half halt, because every half halt should contain the surge, the drive, the energy from the hind legs that you would have if you were asking for a medium gait or for a lengthening. And that way, if we think of the half halt actually as a half go containing the surge of a medium gait within it, we know that we always ride the horse from back to front. Okay, so I'm going to break those aids down once more. Let's put it this way, to the naked eye, it appears that we apply all 3 sets of aids at the same time. But if you had freeze frame photography, we would see Ruth's calves close first to create the surge, and it's the upper part of her lower leg, her calf. And since it's 3 seconds, it's a steady squeeze. And I like my riders to say the words add, add, add. So they think add hind legs, add hind legs, add hind legs. It's still 3 seconds, but they're really thinking about the engine. And it's a steady squeeze. It's not on, off, on, off, on, off for the 3 seconds. So with the freeze frame photography, you would see her legs close first, and just before he surged into that medium gait, her outside hand would capture, contain, and recycle that power back to the hind legs. But think about it, 3 seconds is a long time. If she holds her outer hand in a fist for 3 seconds, Falco's going to bend his neck to the outside, and therefore he's not going to be straight. And in order for the half halt to work, he has to be straight. So we still have part of our bending aid left over, which is that vibrating inside rein. So to the naked eye, those 3 sets of aids happen at once. Freeze frame photography, we see the legs close first, the horse starts to surge forward, the outer hand closes in a fist, and just before the horse would bend his neck to the outside, we twinkle, twinkle, twinkle on the inside rein to keep the horse flexed a little bit to the inside, because we're going to start this on a circle, which is a good place to start with a young horse. Now, what I like to do with young horses, they're taught the aids separately, just like you would learn the letters of the alphabet. If I were to learn a foreign language, which this is when we start to develop our language with our horse, we're developing a non-verbal language, one aid at a time, I would need to know the letters of the alphabet first. If I were to learn Russian, I would need to know the Russian alphabet. Okay, so young horses learn the aids separately. Leg means go, rein means stop. And when it comes time to give a connecting half halt or to give the connecting aids, it's the first time that you're putting letters together to form a word. And the word is round. The word is on the bit. The word is connection. A rose by any other name, you can call it whatever you want. So knowing that the first time you put the letters of the alphabet together, in the horse's mind, they think, wait a minute, you can't tell me to go and stop at the same time. So generally they choose to stop. And they can express stopping in any number of ways. They can slow down, they can shorten their necks, they can go crooked with their hindquarters, they can push the hind legs out the back door. So knowing that about horses, when I introduce the connecting aids, the connecting half halt to the horse, I do it in 3 steps. The first step is to know that the horse is in front of your leg. That when you close your legs, you do get that surge from behind, that you get that feeling of a lengthening or the feeling of a medium trot. We're going to start in the rising trot. And we do that several times. And if Ruth closes her legs and the horse doesn't trot off, you can refer back to putting the horse in front of the driving aids, but she'll give him a little pop with her legs, and then she'll retest and see that the horse is immediately reactive, responsive to the light closure of her legs. That's step 1. Step 2 is going to be, we're going to start to combine those aids. And so, just as a little insurance policy, we're going to get the lengthening started first. And then while she's lengthening, so she has a little bit of extra momentum, and I guess you're going to be going to the right, so this is going to become her outside hand. She's going to close her left hand in the fist, and she's going to go twinkle, twinkle, twinkle on the right rein to keep him flexed and bent to the right. And she's going to keep lengthening until he steps through this closed outside hand, and you'll know the moment that he steps through because he's going to get rounder. And as soon as he does that, she brings him back to the working trot and praises him. That's step 2. Step 3 is the finished product, where she can apply those 3 sets of aids, the driving aids, the bending aids, and the rein of opposition for 3 seconds. And we're going to know when she's doing it because she's going to say out loud, add, add, add during those 3 seconds. And the horse comes from behind, over his back, through his neck, into her hand, and assumes the posture of roundness all the way from back to front. That's step 3. So Ruth, we're going to start in rising trot. Stay on a circle sort of at this end so you can hear me. I know it's kind of windy. And we just want to do step 1, which is to know that he is in front of your leg. So just a working trot on the circle to begin with. Good. Good. And then whenever you're ready, close both legs, ask for a little lengthening. Yeah, and tell him good boy. And then slow him down and ask again. Slow, so we see a nice difference. Slow. And then a clear transition to the lengthening. Good, very nice, and tell him good boy. Good, and slow again, back to working trot. Now we're going to go to step 2, which is that Ruth is going to start a lengthening, and she's going to keep lengthening while she closes her outer hand in a fist and vibrates the inside rein. So get the lengthening going first, good. Now keep lengthening, close your left hand, vibrate your right hand. Good. That's all right. Doesn't matter. Come back to the trot. We'll do the whole thing again. And lengthen. Oh, tell him trot. That's all normal for a young horse. Yep. And lengthen. Close your left hand. Vibrate the inner hand. Watch his neck. Good. And slow down and tell him good boy. That was super. And slow down to working trot. Good. Let's try the whole thing once more. You can allow him to be hollow a little bit in the beginning so we can see a difference. Let him come a little more hollow. Good. And lengthen. Lengthen. Get the lengthening going first. Then keep him lengthening. Close your outer hand and twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. Inner hand watches. There he goes as his neck comes down. Good. Slow down and pet him. Good. Now stay in the working trot. We're going to go to step 3, which is just to ride connecting aids or the connecting half halt in the working gait. So you're going to say the words add, add, add for the 3 seconds of the half halt. Make them a little more hollow first to begin with so we can see a difference. Bring his head up a little more. There you go. More. Yep. And then count your half halt. And soften, and tell him good boy. Now what I loved about that is you could see the surge from behind. Even though he was resistant in front, we could see that it was a half go, not a